So this is my Captain Marvel review. Pretty much, I'm gonna break it down. There's gonna be spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie, turn it off right now. Okay? I'm gonna start from the beginning, tell you, work my way to the end, talk about the mid-credit scenes. First off, I enjoyed the movie. It's got a lot of backlash as it pertains to Brie Larson's comments about not wanting to appeal to white men. Or you should probably read the article. Don't read the headlines. Read the article about what she actually said. It's been misquoted, and because it's been misquoted by a bunch of people for clicks, she's now getting a bunch of hate for it. Whatever. I like her. I didn't mind it. I understood what she was trying to say once I heard it. Once I actually watched her say it and I read the articles. So the movie, the trailers. Let's talk about the trailers. The trailers were, I hate to say it, I know that movie companies typically give their stuff to give their film, I guess you could say film to other companies to do trailers for. The trailers for this movie were not good. I was gonna see it anyway because I love superhero movies, but the trailers did nothing for me. The first one with the when she lands on Blockbuster, that was pretty good, and then the Higher, Faster, Stronger, that one was pretty good. But like they were all kind of just meh. Interest peaked a little bit, but that was it. I'm trying to think. Let's see. So the beginning, nothing much to it. It's just her with the Kree, with the Star Force. Again, people have been hitting on her being emotionless. Well, if you know anything about the Kree, they're emotionless. So there's a reason why she was emotionless. For the most part, you meet Jude Law. You meet Digimon, his character, Digimon Hansu, I hope that's how you pronounce his name, from the original Guardians of the Galaxy. It's pretty cool to see him in kind of a not bad aspect, but you definitely, towards the end, you kind of see how I wouldn't say turn, but how like, okay, well, maybe he needs to do things a different way. Let's see. So eventually she's captured by the Kree, or by the Skrull, which, by the way, I would say the makeup for the Skrull, if I was to grade it on like a B, A to F scale, I'd probably give it a B, solid B. I think in the jaw structure had some issues, but other than that, it was pretty good. The special effects when they're shapeshifters, obviously, was phenomenal. Ben Mendelsohn's slowly becoming he's in my top 10 favorite actors right now. He's slowly becoming one of my favorite actors due to the fact that he just knows how to play bad roles. Like, not bad roles, but the bad guy role. You saw him in Rogue One. He was excellent in Rogue One. In this one, he acts through, when people can act through makeup, especially makeup that's not like A+, I think that's a plus. And the twist towards the middle to the end is pretty striking, and he plays it so well. But he plays it even so well that you don't believe the twist when it happens. You're like, okay, guy, you're about to do something. What are you about to do? You meet Ben Mendelsohn. They go through her memories, and you start seeing her in the Air Force Academy, her as a young kid, being told she can't do anything. For the people that had an issue with feminist tropes, there was a little bit there, but nothing like in your face, men are bad or anything. So I don't think the whole time I never got the impression that there was a men are bad, men are evil type deal. It was just this is what women go through. There's a scene when she's trying to figure out where to go on Earth, and there's a guy who pulls up to her, why don't you smile more, baby, or something like that. And women hear that all the time, and it's kind of crappy thing to hear, especially let that girl do her own thing. And I mean, he ended up getting his bike stolen by her anyway, so it's kind of justice served. So anyway, back on track. Let's see, where was I at? Okay, so yeah, you meet Jan Rog, you meet all those guys. They go through a mission. They're captured. She's captured. It ends up being a setup. She's captured by the Skrull. She escapes, and it was a funny escape type. I don't know, escape thing. She's got these big gauntlets on. She can't use her powers. By this time, she's already had her powers. We don't really know. It's kind of a different, like a Memento style movie. You don't really know what exactly happened to her. We just start out, boom. She lost her memory. She's been training. She's been with the Kree Star Force. So it's pretty much like their spec ops. So she gets captured. She escapes with these gauntlets. She's pretty funny. She's beating up the Skrull. Lands on Earth. And this is where she lands on the Blockbuster. You see it in the credits. Funny because it just looks as someone who grew up in the 90s, it was really weird to see a Blockbuster with the VHS tapes and all that stuff. I remember Friday nights going with my dad to go to Blockbuster. That was a big deal. So anyway, then there's a kind of a stupid scene with the security guard. I get it. It was for jokes, but it was stupid. We meet Nick Fury. And let me just say, 2019 or 2018 when this was being filmed, it is amazing how they made him look. There was never a time, maybe once or twice, like a split second, where I had to be like, dude, Samuel Jackson's like damn near 70 years old. They made him look so young. It was scary. They made him look like Die Hard with a Vengeance, Samuel Jackson almost. Or I would even say a little older, but he looked young, and it was creepy because it was done so well. Like, go back to, I think it was Civil War when Robert Downey Jr. does the barf technology, and you can see him as a younger version, and you can definitely tell. Maybe because he's a lot older. I don't know, but you can definitely tell. Like, okay, it's pretty cool they did this, and he actually looks like RDJ from like the '80s trope movies. But you could definitely tell some difference. They have perfected that. Now, I would even say that, I wouldn't say perfected, 90% perfected that, because he looks amazing. He looks young, vibrant, got his hairline, and the little widow's peak that he had. It's pretty dope. Like, I was like, wow, we have come a long way where we can make these guys look younger. It's pretty crazy. Because, I would say 10 years ago, maybe even 5 years ago, you probably get a younger actor to do Nick Fury in the 90s. I mean, you're talking about 20, 30 years. You probably get a younger actor to do him, and hopefully, I mean, it's going to be hard to do a Samuel Jackson impression. But, Okay, so you meet him. The Skrull also crashed down. The Skrull attacked them. There's a big chase. The scene where she hits the old lady, which was pretty funny. You get a Stan Lee, speaking of which, the beginning Stan Lee cameo is actually the Marvel, dun, 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 dun. It's actually all Stan Lee, and they do a thank you, Stan Lee. We did a little clap. It was really sad, especially when you saw his cameo. It was just funny. He's reading Mallrats. If you know anything about Kevin Smith and Mallrats, he was in there for a second. The sad thing about that, when you saw him, you're just thinking like, okay, he's only got, he's done Avengers Endgame, and he's done Spider-Man Far From Home, and then that's it. We won't see Stan Lee any more cameos. Actually, live Stan Lee. It'll be pictures, or it'll be a set of glasses or something. There'll be some subtle thing. We won't actually see Stan Lee. So when you start to think about that, it kind of chokes you up, because he's meant so much to a lot of people. So yeah, the chase scene was it was well done. I mean, a typical chase scene. Phil Coulson, again, I always thought that the actor, I can't remember his name, but he never really looked that old. So they did do his makeup and everything to make him look younger. And honestly, I was just like, he looks like the Phil Coulson from the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Like, he doesn't look to me, he didn't look any different. The hairstyle, he had that little, like, the 90s flip, hairstyle, I guess you would call it. But other than that, he didn't look too different to me. So yeah, the car chase ends up on the train. She's fighting, and then they go to this place called Project Pegasus, and they learn that the doctor that she sees in her visions is none other than Marvel. So that's a thing. They changed Marvel from a male to a lady, which people are going to have a problem with that. I don't really care. It was pretty good. It was Annette Bening, who's obviously a legend in the film game. They also used her to play the Supreme Intelligence, which is interesting because they could have just showed the Supreme Intelligence as this ugly green blob, at least how it is in the comic books, if I remember. Let's see what else. Trying to skipping over a little bit. I apologize. Yeah, we meet Monica and Maria Rambeau. We actually kind of see them a little early. We see Maria Rambeau a little earlier. I very much enjoyed both characters. I think they added humanity to a humanity-less person at the time in Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel, because she's just discovering, like, oh, I'm a human. They're obviously, those three characters are really close in her past. Obviously, Monica Rambeau is going to be a superhero, maybe in the sequel, maybe in the third movie. But it was cool to see her as a young little girl, especially for the little girls out there. And also, Maria added a lot of brevity, she grounded the story. Hey, I'm your best friend. we all grew, we've been in the Air Force together. So it was nice to see her. I think the actress phenomenal, phenomenal. For she wasn't in there a lot, and I was kind of a little upset about that. But for what she was in, I thought she did great. And then there comes a time when Talos, Ben Mendelsohn, and Samuel Jackson, Brie Larson, Monica Rambeau, and Maria Rambeau, they're all together, and those are pretty good scenes. And this is the big twist. At first, I was upset because if you've ever read Secret Invasion, about the scroll coming into Earth, and the whole time they've been impersonating some of the heroes, one of the greatest Marvel stories, in my opinion. But in this movie, spoiler alert, twist, Talos, the scroll, he's actually a good guy. And we already knew the Kree, both in the comic books, both sides are bad. It's a war, and Earth is caught in the middle. But he's actually a good guy. He's a refugee, which, that gets on political tropes. He's actually trying to get to his family, and we learned that his family, Marvel, was actually helping his family, trying to find a new home, and he ends up being a good guy. And it's like, okay, well, at first I don't like it. Again, I'm a big Kree invasion or secret invasion, so you kind of learn, and then they decide, okay, we're gonna go up to Earth, or we're gonna go up to her Marvel's spaceship. We also learned that Marvel was killed by Jan Rog, Jude Law. Jude Law does a really good job. So we get up there, we see a really touching scene between Talos and his family, and you're like, so every time after the reveal was made, I'm like, okay, he's gonna betray them at some point. He's gonna, hit them and take the light engine, which they were looking for, and leave. He was never even wanting a light engine. He just wanted to fight his family. So there's a scene where he meets his son or daughter and his wife, and you're like, oh, this dude's really a good guy. Like, he really just wanted to see his family. He doesn't care about that other stuff. And then obviously the Star Force come back, and there's a big fight. The music they played, I think it was a No Doubt, Gwen Stefani, No Doubt. I can't remember the song when she fights the Star Force. And I would say it was such a serious scene that maybe it didn't need that song, or maybe it should have been a serious song. But I liked it. Like, it was like, this is cool, To rewind, she actually gets her before they go up to the space station, or whatever you want to call it, Marvel space station. You actually learn how she gets the color that you see from the comic books, and it's actually Monica Rambeau who changes it on her wrist. And it was a cool moment. I think a lot of people are like, "Oh, that's the whole any girl can be a hero type deal." I didn't feel that, but I did feel like that was like the moment where I was like, "Okay, I was already gonna take my daughters to see this, but now I was like, that was the moment where I was like, hey, cool, I'm gonna take my daughter to see this because this is a pretty cool moment." And I get that people are upset about that. Sorry, sorry. I don't know what to tell you, but other than that, it really wasn't as overt as people are making it seem. A lot of people are hitting this movie hard because of what Brie Larson said, not because they've seen the movie. And I really hope it doesn't drag the movie, especially because Marvel's gonna make her a focal point moving forward. Anyway, so we get back. We saw, she has the color. They get to the ground. They have a big fight. She, fights off everybody, obviously. They get to the ground. Ronan the Accuser, who showed up earlier, shows up again. He's pretty gun heavy. He's pretty trigger happy. I feel like because they had mentioned him, I thought he'd be in there more. He wasn't. He was not even a side character. Like, you saw him in a hologram, and then you see him here. He just stands there looking down. He says a couple of lines. And honestly, if you hadn't said anything, I didn't even know that it was Ronan the Accuser. He looks nothing like he did in Guardians of the Galaxy. In Guardians of the Galaxy, he had like the black eye paint. I guess maybe it was war paint, but here he's just straight-faced. And Lee Pace, first of all, Lee Pace, he's a great actor and everything, but I don't know, something about him's off. I actually liked him in the Hobbit movies, but as Ronan the Accuser, I liked him in the first one. But then in this one, he's just kind of like, meh. I felt him more in Guardians of the Galaxy. And maybe that's because he hadn't changed yet. Anyway, this is running too long. So anyway, we find out, they fight, and they have the scene where she gets superpowers. She meets the Supreme Leader again. She fights off the Supreme Leader in her mind. Really cool scene of her getting all, I guess, I can't remember what it's called, but she's got the full mask on, and she's fighting off these missiles that are coming from Earth from Ronan the Accuser. You think she's going to fight Jude Law. Jan Rog's pretty smart. He's like, I ain't going to fight you. She sends him back up to space, and then she gets Fury, the Then they have this cool scene where everybody's eating at the Rambo's house, like Talos and his family, and they're all talking about it. And she decides she's going to leave and fight this Kree Skrull war, end it, she says, and also find those Talos and his family and the refugees a home. She gives Nick Fury the pager that you see in Avengers: Infinity War. Then we get to the credit scene. Well, let's go to the final credit scene. The cat ate the Tesseract. The cat, I hadn't even mentioned the cat because everybody loves the cat. I was just like, all right, it's funny, especially when the cat ate people. It was actually a flurker, as they called it. And then that's how Fury lost his eye too. And I thought the scene from Winter Soldier was so good where you got to keep both eyes open. So powerful, like made you want to oh, he's gonna get his eye jacked up, which he kind of does because he says he last time he trusted somebody, he lost an eye. He trusted the cat. Cat scrapped his eye off, but it was so jokey that I felt like, man, y'all lost the perfect opportunity to make that scene really cool. Anyway, so yeah, he's missing an eye. Later on, you figure out that her nickname was Avenger. Carol Avenger Danvers was on her fighter plane. And he changes the initiative to the Avengers Initiative. So that's how, I guess, you got the name for the Avengers. The end credit scene. The end credit scene is the cat spits out the Tesseract. He ate it and whatever. The mid credit scene was pretty dope. It was a scene from the trailer, and it was they had the pager. This is the end game. Captain America, Scarlet Witch, Bruce Banner, and Rhodey. They have the pager. They're trying to figure out what's going on with the pager. It finally turns off, and they all go and look at it, and they're like, okay. Then Black Widow. Black Widow turns around, and boom, Carol Danvers is there. Where's Fury? And you're like, oh, it's about to go down. And it cuts off and it says, Captain Marvel return in Avengers Endgame. So that was pretty good. I thought the movie overall, if I was to give it a 1 through 10 scale, 1 being crappy, 10 being like perfect, I give it probably a 8.5. I thought it was really good. I thought it had some issues with the script. I thought they didn't really utilize Brie Larson's acting abilities. She's an Oscar-winning actress. She's awesome, but they didn't. And then of course it could be because she couldn't act because she was a Kree warrior at the time. So I'd assume in Avengers Endgame and Captain Marvel 2, it'll be better. The script will be written better. Anyway, that was my review. Please, if you enjoyed it, like it, subscribe to my channel, share it, do what you got to do. If you didn't like it, put the dislike button. Tell me what I can do better. All right, guys, Captain Marvel review. Thank you.